Hello and welcome to this week's editions of Sosbans and Sidesteps podcast. Joining me as always, Mr. Hugh Griffin. How are we, my friend?
I'm okay, mate. I think we as Welsh rugby fans have seen better days, but I'm still chipping away, as they say.
That's good to hear. Good to hear. Well, we're getting back into some real rugby soon, so that's a
Yeah, proper
positive.
rugby chat tonight.
Proper rugby, yeah. So we start this week's pod with some sad news. Um, a girl from the Amman Valley cluster, Valley Vixen Seren, has passed away recently. So terrible news. Obviously, thoughts go out to friends, family, everyone associated. It's just shocking. We had a similar incident, earlier this year with Newcastle Emlyn with a boy passing away. It's just terrible. These things happening. So before we get into the pod, I do have a little statement to read for you guys. So uh, most of you all know I'm a member of 316. So the Scarlets supporters for 316 have embarked on a project to record every match and player that has represented the Scarlets ladies senior team. But it's a hard job, and we could do it with some help, a lot of help, really. So if you have represented the Scarlets ladies, or you know someone that has, please get in touch with us by emailing info@316.cymru. Okay,
Yeah,
now
just
that's
just on that quickly, just obviously it's the we on the pod all believe what John Daniels said in the press recently, which was that the Scarlets represent everybody, that's men's and women's, and that the Scarlets can't can say that they're representing a community unless they're also fully representing the women of that community. And we fully support John in saying that. We're glad he said it. And also the great news that Brython Thunder are playing all of their home games at the park this season. Cannot wait. We're going to be covering every single Brython Thunder game when the Celtic Challenge kicks off. And yeah, so any support that anybody has, any info about the Scarlets ladies teams over the years, like Mark said, if you've played for them or you know anyone who has, if you could help crease out, document it, it's a very worthy thing that they're doing, a very good thing to do. So yeah, just help out the Scarlets community and give us any information that you know.
always better than mine. I'm really jealous now. I'm a little bit annoyed, to be honest, but there we go. Okay, so obviously everyone knows in the autumn internationals, done and dusted finally. So we had, what was it, no, six players involved, was
Seven,
there?
seven or eight by the end. We had
Yeah.
two boys go to Scotland as well.
Ah, yes, Hepburn and Craig.
Yeah. So
So
we had the most. It was, I think we were either joint with Cardiff or we had the most players with Wales.
yeah. So how do you feel our boys went? Really, because obviously we didn't. I don't think we had anyone who started all three games. Plumtree started two. I think Elias was on the bench for all three. So all in all, what's your opinion on our boys? So if we start in the forwards, that would be Elias. So
Yeah. So so we this is a chat. So I suppose we go player by player. I've just got the list here. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight with Wales, and then two with Scotland. Yeah. So with with Elias, obviously coming off the bench, Dewi Lake is Wales captain. So he's always going to be second choice at best for now. He's one of the players, the narrative about Wales has always been like, well, over the autumn has been, oh well, they don't have any players who were there when the team was successful. Well, Elias was there when the team was successful. Elias has won Six Nations. Elias, I think, started the game that we won down in South Africa, if I'm not mistaken, and he has been to multiple World Cups and things. So Ryan Elias has seen successful Wales teams. He just had very limited minutes. Derry Lake stayed on for a long time by modern standards because of his stature in the team at the moment. So uh, look, you're playing in a beaten team. Elias's cameos against Fiji and South Africa were when the team was well beaten by the time he came on. Something that we discussed, the big point where Elias's performances were discussed during the autumn was when the line out started going a bit awry against Australia. So this is something that you and I discussed via WhatsApp. Can you just give your kind of view on that kind of episode, if you like, and Ryan's sort of role in that?
Yeah, so obviously we discussed this. I was on the Rap podcast to discuss this, and realistically, the Ospreys representative tried to compare Lake's throwing in compared to Elias. Now Lake had 4 throws, Elias had 6, but it was 2 completely different lineouts that they were really throwing into. Any team that
I think Lake threw to the front at least 2 out of his 4.
Yeah, and it's not just that; it's your opposition as well. When your opposition are not quite 100% believing in their own defense, or they are wary of what attack may come their way, whether that's through the backs or through a maul, they don't compete. They stay off, so they keep those numbers on the field ready to engage where they can. And that's a lot what we saw in that game against Australia. They did not compete in those 4 lineouts for late. And then once they'd really figured out that we didn't have much of an attack to really defend, they started sending boys up. Now, there was I think it was a couple of penalties we earned, and there was 2 that Australia stole. Well, one they definitely stole, another one we assume they stole because the camera panned off. So, that's all credit to Australia. And then
the first steal was particularly good. So the first steal, it was a line out on the 5 meter. They throw to the tail. The throw's fine, nothing wrong with the throw. Botham goes up, and an Australian player wins the race up ahead of him, gets one hand to it, bats it back. So obviously Australia in that scenario can either stay on the ground and set the drive to the maul, or they can compete. And they chose to compete, and they won the competition.
So that happened on 2 occasions. We earned attacking penalties on 2 occasions. And then the other 2 were, the first one, it looked like there was either an issue with Roland's extension or his lifter. He just didn't get there. And then another one, the ball just went through Botham's hands. So for me, Elias did his job perfectly in terms of throwing into the lineout. It was more a case of our jumpers not being in the right positions to avoid the steal.
I think the selection of sending who up, because I think they sent Botham up at the tail 3 times in a row. And I think that was a mistake because at least 2 of those 3 got stolen. And by the time it's gone wrong twice, doing it a 3rd time is, someone's made an error in the call there.
Yeah, it is a bit of madness, but there are so many working parts to a lineout. It's not always the hooker. Now, I know Lake is captain, and obviously he has started, but I don't think he should be. He's still a novice in the international game. I think he's only got 9 or 10 starts. Now, I'm happy with him starting, more games than not. But realistically, Elias has got that experience. He is that actual leader. We should be using his leadership ability. We see it at the Scarlets. We've seen it previously with Wales when he has started. I believe, like in the 21 tour, he was a standout in there. So,
and then that kind of brings us on to another Scarlets player who was vital at the lineout was Taine Plumtree, who was integral in the lineout. He's been integral at the lineout for us at the Scarlets all season.
Yeah.
And then he was again in the first game against Fiji. And then he was completely dropped from the 23 against Australia. And then he was back in it starting at number 8 for the game against South Africa. And again, he was back being crucial to the lineout. So to me, if Gatland wanted to change it up and have Plumtree on the bench against Australia, fine. But I think particularly given the fact that Plumtree has been, since he's moved to Wales, every time he's been fit, he's been picked for Wales. And he played all 3 back row positions in the summer. To completely drop him out for that Australia game, I think was a strange selection choice.
Yeah, especially with the performances, the performance of Revel in that first game. I didn't think he did his role 100%. I was quite shocked at that. I'm not 100% convinced that Plumtree should be at 8 for Wales. He does a good job at the Scarlets no matter where he is. And we have spoken about that balance. If he's got, the 2 flankers or a flanker and an 8 that can do it more grunt than not, then he can excel. I don't know if that's quite transitioned into the international game for him. Obviously, this is
I don't think Gatland knows how to use him, which I think
no,
is the case for a lot of players.
yeah. I mean, we see Plumtree in the wide channels. We see him making little breaks off,
Yeah,
short passes inside the
his best
rucks.
attributes are in space, but Wales never get the ball to space.
No, and even speaking about that, I saw both them and I saw Jack Morgan out wide, multiple times over this series. I didn't see Plumtree, and that is his game. That's his forte. That's where he causes the most damage. He gets inside his defender and he offloads that ball into space. That is what he does best.
Yeah, he's the
So
tallest. He's the tallest back rower we've got, unless you go for Shunza or something and play him at 6.
yeah, I got a different opinion of Shunza, but we don't need to come to that. So I believe that brings us to our props. Henry Thomas did not play a single minute. That was an absolute travesty. He is by far, and we mean by far, the best scrummaging tight head Wales have got, without a shadow of a doubt. There is no one like Griffin and
Yeah,
Maserati do not come close.
When you see what happened to Archie Griffin in that game, you've got to ask why Henry Thomas what didn't even see a minute when you consider he hadn't played at all. I mean, you want to talk about giving young players minutes and things. There's giving young players minutes, and there's what happened to Archie Griffin. He was hooked on 35 minutes,
Yeah.
and so what? So he's learned from that, has he? He's going to be, of course we say that he'll be a better player for it and things, but there's giving young players minutes and there's throwing kids in when they're not ready.
Yeah.
And Henry Thomas, okay, he doesn't have a lot of international caps, but he's been around the block. He's scrummaged in the top 14. He's performed well as scrummaging in the URC so far. Like I said, Archie Griffin has started the last few tests for Wales. There was nothing extra starting him in this game was going to give him for me. So
Yeah.
why not start? What's the point of selecting Henry Thomas in the squad at all if you're not going to use him in a game like that?
Yeah. Like for me, there was only one game really that Henry Thomas should have started, and that was the Fiji game, because that was the only real must-win game and the game that we could have won in this autumn internationals. He should have been in there. He should have been hook it, locking that scrum down, keeping that ball. And then for me, I would have put him on the bench for both Australia and South Africa and let Azarati learn. Because for me, the Griffin project needs to be put on hold until he can start making way either with VAR or come to a region. People go on about, Thomas Toy, he's amazing. He's his clubmate. He knows him inside out. He forces him to come. Well, actually, Griffin knows him inside out as well. It goes both ways. The fact is, Griffin got crunched. That's bad technique for your body to be for a tight end's body to go from scrummaging straight with with that form that I love on Henry Thomas and Harry O'Connor, to go from that to curved up. That means your body wasn't in the right position. So there's a technical aspect that he's failing at from the start. And I'm assuming Thomas du Toit knew that and just went straight for it.
Yeah.
So another
and then Mathias got junk minutes against South Africa as well.
I honest to God, I do not know what is wrong with Gatland. Bringing in Nicky Smith, didn't understand that for the starters. He's a better than average scrummager, but he does minimal around the pitch, and his stats against South Africa certainly show that. Gareth Thomas, he's our number one. Yes, start against Fiji, must win game, 100%. But he's not learning anything playing against Australia. He's not learning anything playing against South Africa. Mathias would have learned so much, and I mean so much. If we just take this year in general, we've had Corey Domikowski and Kemsley Mathias as our young loose head, as our new loose head. I can't really call Corey young, he's not as young, shall we say. And there's like 11 games over this year, this calendar year. And Gareth Thomas has played more minutes than those boys combined. This was supposed to be a development year. If it's a development year, you put the kids that need to learn on the field to start, and then you have your experienced men on the bench to come and come on, have a little chat, do what you do. Must-win games, like I said about Fiji, yes, you put those frontline players in. But if you're serious about development, you've got to give these boys minutes. I think I worked it out. There's something like 200 minutes between Corey and Kemsley this calendar year. That was before the South Africa game. I haven't added them in, but that's just terrible when you're talking, 900 minutes of rugby and they're not even getting 30% of that. It's terrible.
Yeah. Into the backs then, and this is going to be the tough one, is Sammy. Sam's treatment by Gatland is unacceptable for me.
Disgusting. End of.
It's almost as if he's deliberately trying to end his career. Like,
yeah.
It makes no to parachute Anscombe back in and then completely drop Anscombe for the South Africa game and just chuck Sammy in when it shows no empathy for the player. Sam, the thing is, when Sam came on against Fiji, he and Ben Thomas created the try that Ellis Bevan scored. They played off 10. Sammy touched the ball after every ruck for that try, and it led to Ellis Bevan scoring. Now, Sammy came on against Australia. Okay, he chucked an intercept, but that's because he's trying to make something happen. Whilst Anscombe was on the pitch, Wales played off 9 exclusively. They didn't play off 10 at all. When Sammy came on, they played off 10, and he was trying to make stuff happen. He was trying to impact the game, and he chucked an intercept. It happens. And then against South Africa, I counted 8 key interventions that he had in the game in the 30 minutes that he was on, because he went off for an HIA, came back on, but then it appears that he was reassessed at halftime and he said that he had a headache. So
that's an awful.
Not sure what's gone on there, but talk about a player not being set up to succeed. Like, the number of centres he's had outside him, the number of scrum halves he's had inside him, chucked on in games that are well lost.
Yeah. It's like, I've made that comment to people. He's had 5 scrum halves, 7 12s, 5 fullbacks, and like, you didn't, if you're international class, you should be able to play with anyone. There's a massive difference between playing with anyone and being able to compete at international level. There's one reason why you see South Africa and Ireland be successful, and it's cohesion. Having the same players for large amount of times and not changing the core structure.
It's a great example. So if you take Jordan Hendricks, who he started opposite against South Africa, Jordan Hendricks is playing with literally his brother at scrum half, and he's got Damien Dialendi and Jesse Creel behind him, arguably the best centre pairing in the world. And then he's got Colby and Aronset on the wings, and Afalele Fassi, who is his club teammate at fullback. That's setting up a player to succeed. Sammy,
realistically, if you wanted Sam to succeed, you got to make a choice of what scrum half are you going forward with, and if you have Plumtree a date. If you're keeping him, if you want him a date, you've got to have Costelow. If Costellow's 10, Plumtree's 8. End of at the minute. So then you have that 9 question. Do you stick with Bevan, who you're trying to force into being your new starting number 9, or do you pick someone he's got a lot of minutes with in Hardy, and then you go James 12? Simple as. It doesn't matter if Ben Thomas is playing better or what. If Sammy is your 10, you pick a 12 that he's used to, and that's Eddie James. And I was really skeptical of Blair Murray at 15. First pro start, but if you have that option of Rogers or Murray at 15, then that gives you a good sight of players he is familiar with and he can play with. That would be setting him up to succeed, not chucking him on at 65 minutes against Fiji when the game is more or less dead. You need someone to really kickstart it, and you've taken your supposed general off.
We haven't even mentioned that he got put on the wing against Fiji. Just unacceptable, negligent selection.
I don't understand how he goes on the wing at all. Like, I know they spoke about, Bevan should have gone on. Yeah, no, you put him on. You put Costelow on. End of. There is no, there was a mistake in translation. There are too many stops and points from carrying a player onto the pitch for that to be any sort of mistake is total cop out. And I
Yeah.
see that the media have avoided that ever since.
But the thing is, they could have rejigged it. They could have
Yeah,
gone,
they
right.
should have.
They could have gone Anscombe to 15, win it to the wing. To be fair, I haven't seen Cam Winnett play on the wing, but you think it'd be better than Sam on the wing. And then Sam to 10. And you go, right, this is where we are. We're making the best of the mistake. But they didn't. They just left him out there for 40 minutes.
I don't understand it. I don't understand a lot of things with Garland.
He just let him
He's leaving him to rot.
drown out there.
He's like you said. I think he is intentionally setting up certain players to fail. He's setting up his team to fail, and I don't know if he's just tired and wants to try and get a payoff. And I know that's a really bad thing. This is obviously opinion. This is not fact. This is not anyone, gonna. That's what it appears to me. He knows he can't succeed with this team. He can't play a way that this team can be successful. So he wants to try and get away, but he also doesn't want to lose his 600k a year.
Yeah.
So
can we go moving back then to Eddie James? So 2 bench appearances, one of which he got played at 13, got chucked on at 13 against Australia. He's played 13 at Wales under 20s, and I've said that he can do a job there, but that's not setting up a player to succeed. And he's got one of his wingers is Matt Llewellyn, who's not a test level winger. He can do a job in the Premiership for Gloucester, and I'm not hammering Matt Llewellyn. I think he's worked as a 13, but again, going back to knowing how to use players. What's Eddie James's number one attribute that has stood out all season? His handling.
hands.
Didn't use his hands once.
No. And the way I see Eddie is not an impact player. We've seen this at the Scarlets. We know this at the Scarlets. He's not an impact player. So how can they not transition that into Wales? You've got all this information. You've even got the coaches to talk to and say, what player can do this, what player can do that, what player is good on the bench. I think Ben Thomas is a good player on the bench. I think he can come on and, he can, input some impetus, essentially. But Eddie James isn't that player. He's a player who works hard all game, puts people into space all game. So, again, treatment like Max Llewellyn, obviously. I'm not convinced by his defence, but obviously we're comparing that to Foxy and Joe Roberts, who are a level above. This is what we are used to. He's got a lot of work to get there. Options are thin at the minute, which is why he is in that position. When Joe Roberts is fit, he's not getting an inkling. Joe Roberts is as long as he comes back to play that he was, he's nailing down that 13 shirt in
it's
in
a
the space
small
of a couple of
backline
games.
though. In that case, it's a small backline though. In that case, that would probably help Eddie start then, because you'd need a big player in there.
Well, that's what that would be my backline. My backline would be the Scarlet centres and Costelow. The back three, literally, it depends on who's on form. If Tom Rogers keeps his form, then definitely, obviously, there's a case now for him to be 15 at the Scarlets to try and work.
Yeah, so I'm talking about him next then. So his performance against Australia,
outstanding.
The commentators were saying by far the best Welsh player on the pitch, and he was. Because the way that game started, you could see there was a couple of high balls which he just didn't get to, but you were like, this is close now. He's very close to getting on the end of these. And then after a while, he did start getting on the end of them. And his performance in the air, to be fair, I think we can be honest and say we didn't see that performance from Tom coming.
No.
Really blew us away.
For me, Tom has been much improved for the Scarlets. His footwork, his beating players as a general winger has been brilliant. Competing in the air is not something like being successful, then, really putting teams and players under pressure and actually taking and retaining balls. We haven't seen that much at the Scarlet. But boy, we bloody saw that in that game, and it was really unfortunate that one, he had to go off. Two, he was then named in the South Africa squad when they knew, because they knew he weren't making it. I don't care if they say it was a late fitness test or whatever. The player's going to be fit enough.
to name Murray at 15 and Tom on the wing
Oh,
was an odd choice after the Australia performances.
okay. Okay. If in that situation, obviously Tom basically from any restart or kickoff or whatever you want to call him, he was that man competing for the ball. Wherever he was on that line, you knew where that ball was going because he was going to go for it. And to be fair, Ben Thomas's kicking at the restarts was brilliant. It was sublime. I'll say that about him. So you have to move Rogers to 15, but then you need someone who's used to covering fullback during those moments. So the obvious solution was obviously Rogers to 15, keep Blair Murray there, and then obviously in the end it happened, but put Hathaway there because he's used to playing at fullback. Hathaway again, I think he's a project that can be
He was a lot
delayed.
better in this game than he was in Australia. A lot
Yeah,
better.
I like Hathaway. He's a boy from Aberystwyth. He's come through our academy system. Well, I say he's come through our academy system. He was in our junior academy before he went up to Hartbury and whatnot. So there's a brilliant player in there, but he's 20, 21 years of age. We need to let boys have a run with clubs. This is exactly what
Playing
we've
in a
seen.
poor Gloucester team.
Yeah, this is exactly what we've seen with Alex Mann and Mackenzie Martin. They were parachuted into this Wales squad. Yeah, they're decent performance, but Mackenzie Martin is playing in the SRC now. He hasn't had a minute for Cardiff rugby. He's been playing for the RFC.
Yeah. So I think that just leaves Blair Murray, who we touched on for a second. Just yeah, he obviously got his try
Yeah,
against
I
Fiji.
mean,
Held up Fazzy in the South Africa game. I don't remember him doing a ton against Australia. Chucked in at the deep end is what I would say.
yeah, Fiji game was great. He showed everything he shows at the Scarlets. Australia, for whatever reason, he was quiet. They didn't really play to him as much or play to his strengths at all, which was weird. And then South Africa, sticking him at 15, never started a professional game at 15, mind you.
Yeah.
And you put him in there. It's the same story as Eddie James. He'd never started a professional game of rugby at 13. And Wales on 20s, that's age grade. That's not senior men's professional game. So it was a bonkers decision for me. But like I've already stated, Matt Llewellyn's defence is not international level yet. I do feel he will get there. But then you also look at the winners he had. Hathaway, who we just talked about, he's improving, but he's still really young. And again, his defense isn't that great. And Dyer, the reason Dyer hasn't been involved is because of his defense. So realistically, all the outside backs have got poor defense, and you've got Murray then at 15. So for him to be able to keep the scoreline to what it was, hold up, so he stopped quite a few tries, not just the one he held up. So I think he done a really, really good job. Obviously, he didn't get many opportunities attacking wise, which I think was the main reason why they put him there. They thought that, if South Africa kicked down, he'll have it in space. He can try and create something. Didn't happen that way. So I'd say he's come out to this in credit. Not as much as he would have probably liked, but he's a solid 7, 6.5, 7 throughout the series.
Yeah. And then just on the Scottish lads, Alex Craig got a couple of appearances, one against Portugal and came off the bench in the win over Australia. And Alec Hepburn didn't get any minutes for Scotland as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, I think we've kind of seen with Alec, he's having a bit of an issue with his scrummaging at the minute. When we signed him, it was like, okay, good, we're gonna get the man that Exeter, won the Champions Cup with, the man that really was a stalwart for the scrum, in our Exeter team, and we just haven't seen that. I don't know why we haven't seen it. So I'm not really surprised that he wasn't selected originally, and I'm not surprised he hasn't made any of the 23s. In terms of Craig, the fact that he was in that 23 for Australia just shows you they want him in that. He's in that first team squad. He's in those 4 locks that you were picking from your matchday 23. That just shows how important he is, and how unlucky we are going to be to lose him at the end of the season or whenever that does come.
Yeah. All right, so that's enough Wales chat then, mate. What's next on the agenda?
The WRU strategy delay and any AGM updates.
So
So
with the WRU strategy delay, so it was supposed to be out in the summer, then they said the autumn, and now it's going to be next year.
yeah, it's not just that. The JSG had a meeting with them tomorrow, and I believe it's been postponed for the second time. And it's the same old story. Oh, we want to make sure that we've got all the information to give you or whatever. It's I don't know what to say.
And that,
It's
obviously in the I think it was in the Zebra game, Simon Mudarak was interviewed before it, and he got asked about the deal with the WRU and things, and he said like we need to get on with it because we need to start signing players. And now here we are again, well into a season, and the Welsh regions don't know how much money they're going to have to spend next season, so can't contract players.
that's the thing. We've not long signed a 6-year PRA and we're renegotiating from the start. So I don't understand what the point of all of this really is. You know, it's obviously the union pushing a power play because it's always going to be that. Because obviously, when they're giving us 4.556 million, whatever it is, that's a lot of money. We're desperate for that money. We need it. We can't survive without it, unfortunately. So it forces our hand more often than not. And they talk about this, a share in the regions, and then that was mooted, and now a golden share, which, as far as I'm concerned, is probably the exact same thing with a different name. So
Yeah.
I I don't want the WRU involved in any of the region's business because you just look at the state that they're in.
The trust is at an all-time low, and that's saying something. The other thing that they've announced is 60 players of national interest they're going to support through Pathway. I have to say that when I heard that, 60 seems like a low number to me.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I have discussed
It should be
massively
more
with.
like 200, surely.
Yeah, this is something that I discussed with many people, and it annoys the hell out of me. At under 16s level, we have got, let me make sure, guys, we've got 28 Tour Shield teams. It used to be under 15, now it's under 16. Blah, blah, blah. So that is 28 teams of 35 to 40 boys. So you were talking over 1,000 players. And that is cut down to what, 350 in the space of a month. Literally, we got over 1,000 boys in December. We've only got 350 in January. We're letting too many boys escape, which is one of the massive problems. And then that 350 that gets cut down to 175 a year later, and then it gets cut even more. So I know when they say each batch there might only be 5 to 10 players that might even make it professional, and even less make it to international level. But we are losing too many boys too early on. We don't know how the development's going to go. You're talking 16-year-olds. You're scrapping 66+% of 16-year-olds. You don't know how they're going to progress over the next 5 years, over the next 7 years till they're 23, because that's when the academy ends at 23. I know we speak about players being in the national squad. What's Hathaway's 21. He should still be in the senior academy. He should be making sporadic appearances, not bloody starting for bloody Wales. Same as Archie Griffin. Archie Griffin's age and his position profile, he should only be getting the odd couple of substitute appearances in the Gallagher Premiership and playing in the Rugby Cup. He shouldn't be starting international games. It's so much is wrong at the minute, and obviously there's been a lot of changes with the academy system with this new agreement, no more money, etc., to keep more players in, but we're still losing way too many. I do think that we need to probably find a way to work the district and the junior academy system together to keep those boys in for longer, so we're not making those sort of drastic cuts until at least under 18s.
Yeah. Because if you do the maths, like 60 players of national interest up to the age of 21 or whatever it is, so 15 per region, and you go, oh, well, that's a full team. Like one player in each position, best case scenario, and that's aged what, 17? that I'm guessing here, 17 to 21. It's nothing. It's 60 is
No,
nowhere near enough.
I would have thought more than 200. I would have thought if you're talking 15 player per year, so you're probably talking
Yeah.
75 players a club. You're talking at least 300. Then you've got to include the RGC lot, so you're
Just
talking more again.
as a reference, Scotland's rugby union gave out 45 pathway contracts to women and girls for the pathway, and then below that they support another 54 girls below that. And women, the WRU is trying to make a song and dance out of 60 men's contracts.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk, this is essentially what's going to be a national academy again, because that's the only way you would ever do that. If you're saying of national interest, and that means you were taking the interest in training them and putting them on whatever programs it is. So 60 is a low number. If it was 60 per age per year from under 18s to under 21, I could accept that.
That's the same size as Leinster's squad.
Yeah, I could accept 60 players per age range. For 18, there's 60 lots of 17 to 18, 18 to 19, 19 to 20, whatever, however you want to work it out. I could accept that, but 60 in general, you expect to get 60 academy players, over what was it, 5 years? So you're talking 180 players over a full career for 15 years, which, let's be frank, is quite generous for a rugby player. And you somehow want, out of that 180, to get 40 international, possibly world-class level players. You're not going to do it.
Yeah, that's literally every egg's a bird, isn't it? That's like two out of three of these players are going to be international Welsh players.
Yeah, and yeah, once they hit 21, you might know certain players well, and you can focus more on them. But after then, you've got no idea. I mean, there's so many boys that you can look at that miss certain steps of the system and then just come in. Eddie James didn't get selected at district or rag. It wasn't until he was playing college that got seconds as a 10. And that's where he got picked up. Same as Ben Williams, who I'm still stunned we don't see first team more often. I love Ben; he's an awesome player. He missed everything. It was through his club that he kept training and he worked his ass off and he got his contract. And he's an amazing player.
Yeah,
I know.
It's not every single under 18s player for the regions. Because that's what 92 players, so it's not even.
If you're talking, there's 35 under 18 in the under 18 squad, which there's not. There's more. There's always going to be more. We're talking.
So it's half of the under 18 squads.
Yeah, well, not even that. It's less. It's probably less than that. You talk the RGC have a under 18s as well.
And again, it's not enough.
Laughable.
Is the point we're making. Okay. And are we on to the good bit of the show now?
Yes, community bit. So please share your screen, Huw, because if anyone hasn't already noticed, I'm not in a normal location. I'm currently on the wrong side of the bridge. I'm in Strensham services, so this is quite an interesting podcast for me. So let's see who does it. Amazing. I am going to need you to go down in a minute, but
crikey, youth.
Yeah, I'm not going to go through all the youth results. I'm just going to do the ones that matter and the Doer Shield ones that matter.
Okay.
So we start in the SRC as always. Llandovery against Cardiff postponed. This was a really late call because I think up until about 1:30, the game was still going on. So that was really disappointing. This was a big clash. Only 2 games actually went ahead in the SRC this weekend. One was up in RGC, obviously different weather. And the other one was the Friday night game, which sadly wasn't televised, was where King Charlie, showed up and he really run the roost. So Carmarthen travelled to Bridgend and Charlie Titcombe himself orchestrated a 35-29 win. Carmarthen Quint's first away win of the season, bagging 20 points himself. So in this 23, we had Yori Badham, Gabriel McDonald, Charlie Titcombe, and Ben Williams all starting. We had Ellis Price, Pricey Jr., Keanu Evans, and Sean Evans, the superstar, returning for his first game this season on the bench. So realistically, 3 first-teamers in Titcomb, Ben Williams, and Sean Evans dropping down. And combined, they contributed 30 points. So it just shows you the point of bringing these senior players in.
This is what we want.
This is what they do. They elevate everyone around them. Sean Evans coming back is really timely. We don't know the scenario with the Wales players being rested this current weekend, which we get onto. So great win for Carmarthen. I'm looking forward to chatting a lot about that on Wednesday in the SRC podcast, if anyone's listening. Games for this current week. So Llandovery get to host Bridgend, and Carmarthen Quins travel to Newport.
Tough game.
That's going to be fun. So Premiership now. Llangennech put up a hell of a fight against Neath a couple of weeks ago at 28-19. This is the last round of fixtures that was played, so I believe it was the same weekend as Australia 2 weeks ago. Narberth against Merthyr was postponed, and Newcastle Emlyn had to bye. So games for this week, we got Brecon at home to Narberth, Llangennech travelling to Crosskeys, Newcastle Emlyn hosting Bargoed. Then in Championship West, Ammanford winning 22-16 at home to Gowerton, Clefley Wanderers beating Crymych 33-19 away. Games for this week, Crymych are travelling to Dunvant, Wanderers are hosting Maesteg Quins, and Ammanford travel to Tondy. Big game for Ammanford. That'll really be a test of where they are in this league. Division 1 West, Wellinvoll winning 2014 away to Bury Port. That's a nice local derby that will have a lot of the Blacks really scratching their heads and going, we should have won that. Aberystwyth winning 17-13 away to Penclough. Tenby winning 26-17 away to Pontarddulais. St Clair's going down 10-17 at home to Kidwelly. I was disappointed for St Clair's. I know they're pushing really hard again this season. And then Hendy losing 32-37 at home to One Island. So then we've got fixtures for this week. Aberystwyth at home to St Clair's, Kidwelly at home to Wellinvoll, Tenby hosting Penclough, Hendy at home to Bury Port, and then the other non-Scarlets game will be One Island against Pontarddulais.
I don't like it when both teams score over 30. That's not rugby.
That's fun. That's a fun game you play, and that's it's not serious, is it? Okay.
Yeah, unserious.
Unserious. Okay, so Division 2 West, Bedros winning 30-27 at home to Loughor, Carmarthen Athletic winning 23-10 at home to Milford, Lampeter winning 25-0 at home to Fishguard. Well done, Whitland. They're starting to get some wins. Happy days. You're seeing them return. Nant Garedig with the bye fixtures for this week. Lampeter at home to Carmarthen Athletic. Bedros travel to Larne. Whitland going down to Loughor. Nant Garedig at home to Milford. Fishguard getting the bye. My screen is moving for the audio listeners. Thank you, Hugh. Division 2 West Central. Brenhaman going down 18-37 at home to Hoylecow. They're at home to bring Pethyn this weekend. So Division 3 West. Tumble 17-13 away winners against Aberaeron. Kev Nathan going down 16-29 at home to Cardigan. Halford West against Am United was postponed. Llandilo 30-28 winners at home to Ponteberem, and Croes winning 43-6 at home to Llangadog. This week's fixtures, we've got Am United at home to Ponteberem, Aberaeron travelling to Cardigan, Kev Nathan travelling to Llangadog, Tumble at home to Halford West, and Croes hosting Llandilo. Now we go into 4 West A. So Newcastle Emlyn Dreigiau winning 14-3 at home to Narberth Athletic. I'm liking this. Good win for Newcastle Emlyn Dreigiau. Langham going down 17-22 at home to Pembroke. Neyland 43-17 winners away to Llanybydr. Plymouth Tyro drawing 17-all with St David. St David loving the draw this season. And Pembroke Dock Harlequins getting the bye. Fixtures for this week: Narberth Athletic at home to Langham. Newcastle Emlyn Dreigiau travelling to Neyland, Pembroke at home to Crymych Tyro, and Pembroke Dock Harlequins travelling to St David's Llanybydr with bye. I hope if you can drop my screen just ever so slightly. So we got Division 4 West B. Furness winning 21-10 at home to Tregaron. Llandibby going down 19-54 to Trimsaran. Massive win for Trimsaran, but they favourite. Hughes New Dock Stars winning 29-0 at home to Pennybank. Always impressive when you nil a team.
Might as well have not turned up, Pennybank. Just accept the walkover next time.
Ooh, harsh words there. Fighting talk. Pantavannan going down 12-34 at home to Fall Bay. Pontiacs against Binya was postponed. Fixtures for this week. Then we got Fall Bay
at home to Llandybie. Newdorf Stars hosting Pondier. Furness travelling to Penn and Bank. Tregaron at home to Panderfynon, and Trim Saran hosting Binya. Now, I'm not going to go through all these results, so
thank God,
audio
my
listeners,
goodness.
I'm really sorry. Get to the green line, we're sorted. So on the left-hand side column, we've got Carmarthenshire Cup results, the semi-final fixtures, plate fixtures, and the Ceredigion and Pembrokeshire Cup. 3 results in there. There's one fixture that we're still not sure of. Plymouth against Haverfordwest, all youth games. Trying to figure that one out, so not sure. Then next column, we got the WRU Cup and Bowl round 1 results and round 2 fixtures. Then next column, WRU Plate round 1 fixtures and round 1 results, and round 2 fixtures, and WRU Shield round 1 results and round 2 fixtures. Then it comes into the big stuff. This past Friday night was the Dewar Shield, Morgan Griffiths Place, and Lewis Miller Bowl quarterfinals. Pembrokeshire Schools being our representative in the Dewar Shield in the main competition, and luckily going down 16-21 at home to Swansea West, and lucky lads. Better news in the Morgan Griffiths Place. Ceredigion winning 31-0 at home to Pontypool. Mynydd Mawr winning 19-14 at home to Vale of Glamorgan. And Carmarthen winning away 24-20 to Swansea Valley. So 3-3 in that competition. So the semi-finals, which will be this Friday, Ceredigion at home to Mynydd Mawr. This fixture already happened in the group stages with Ceredigion coming out on top. So, big ask for Mynydd Mawr to overcome this one. Carmarthen travelling to Cynon Valley. So very interesting semi-finals. Lewis Miller Bowl, Leslie Schools winning 29-24 at home to RGC East. This one went down to the wire, so massive game. And their semi-final is this Friday. Leslie at home to Isline. That brings our community roundup to an end. Okay, so that brings us on to the real rugby this week. Scarlets heading up to Glasgow. So usually if we were playing Glasgow, I would be pretty concerned, but seeing as the time of year when they're unlikely to have a lot, well, basically a full team worth of internationals missing, I'm slightly more hopeful. How about you?
Yeah, so the Glasgow is obviously the core of the Scotland team. Scotland played on Sunday and Glasgow playing on the Friday. So it's pretty unlikely that many Glasgow players who played against Australia will be in this game. Adam Hastings might be one, Tom Jordan might be another who's made available. Obviously, Glasgow statistically the hardest away game in the URC. Didn't lose a single home game at all last year. So odds against us. I was just having a look at, before we came on, I was having a look at, the Scarlet stats for this season. So if anybody doesn't know, analyst.com is a stats resource, shall we say, run by Opta. And I was just reading up on what the Scarlets are good and bad at. Now, I'm not going to read out every single stat because there's like stats for days, but things that we're good at is committing. I should say that the thing with the Opta analyst is that it's pretty much everything is on percentages. So a small percentage of a very large number is still a large number, and a large percentage of a small number is still a small number. So if you've chucked 3 offloads all season and 2 of them have led to tries, then 66% of your offloads lead to tries. But that doesn't mean that you're a top offloading team. If you've chucked 50 offloads and 10 have led to tries, then you've only got 20% of your offloads lead to tries, but you're actually still a very good offloading team. So that's just some context for this. But in percentage terms, carries that draw 2 or more tacklers, Scarlets are pretty good at. Line breaks leading to tries, we are pretty good at. Nearly half of our line breaks lead to tries. Like we talked about how maximum efforts our tries always are. Always has to be scored up the middle, always has to be an amazing set of hands from someone like Eddie James. Tackle success, our tackle success is pretty good. Missed tackles leading to line breaks is very low. We're one of the lower teams for that. So if we miss a tackle, doesn't mean it's leading to a line break. Meters per maul is pretty good, but a lot of poor teams have good meters per maul. I think Zebra have got very good meters per maul. So I think that's probably where on the pitch you choose to maul, and teams knowing what the risk is for that. 46% of our tries have come from set pieces, and I would say that most of those are from line out moves. So that's pretty good. That's a feather in the cap of the attacking coach. Although, you know, when it's not that we can't do multi-phase tries either. So, you know, I don't think we've scored. Have we scored any rolling maul tries? There was the one McLeod got against Zebra.
No, I don't think we scored any this season, have we?
McLeod got one against Zebra. I think that's the only one. Oh no, Jared Taylor got one against Benetton as well.
My mind is blank. I'm not in a good place for this.
Okay,
Right?
and then tries from kick return we were also particularly good
Yes.
at. So, and that's interesting because that's something that Dwayne Peel mentioned in one of his interviews earlier, I think even before the season started, is that he felt that the kick return laws now, with players having to get back on side, would suit the Scarlets, and it does. So that's good. So that's Dwayne has tried to do something there and it has worked and he's achieved it. So that's good.
Yeah, well, I think that's returning more into the Scarlets way, like playing off transition ball, which is obviously something that led us to the 16-17 title. Obviously, it wasn't kick returns, it was more, jackal steals. So
Yeah.
similar sort of modes. We're working on transition play and set plays again. We talk about the Scarlet way, how to play. And if you score and tries off set plays from lineouts, from wherever, that is running rugby. That's what we all love to see. It's what we want to come to watch. We want to see it, whether or not they're successful or not. We want to see our team try things, and we're seeing our team try things, and we're seeing them be successful at that, which is amazing.
Yeah. Things that we're not so good at. So we know that dominant carries and game like success aren't great for the Scarlets. So when we carry, we're not smashing over the game line every time. But we know that our attack doesn't depend on that necessarily. We're happy to go sideways a few times, have that kind of sevens influence on our attack.
Yeah, and we've also got the option of loading our pack with players that can do that. We barely use Carwyn Tuivalotu, who is a dominant carrier. Okay, he doesn't make the barnstorming runs, but he continuously gets over the game line. Same as, we could really set up, a pack with, Mathias, who's a brilliant carrier, Elias, again. Harry O'Connor's probably our best tight head carrier, but obviously he's injured. So, Henry Thomas is decent enough there. But then, you got Craig, who's a brilliant carrier, Sam Lowsey, Max Douglas, Karen Tuivalotu, and Viper Peter. We could get, I know it would be a random pack, a really random pack, but we could get all of them in there and we could become that team. They would carry till the cows come home.
Yeah. Offloads leading to tries, not particularly good at. However, I would say again, it's a percentage thing. So take that with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, we do tend to try a lot of offloads.
Yeah. Dominant tackles again. So flip side of the dominant carries, dominant tackles. We don't make many of those. 22 exit success. So this is something that we've spoken about a lot on this podcast. Our 22 exit success. Yes, fair enough. We need to get a lot better at those.
Yeah. That's mostly down to Cowdo, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's a pressure thing of knowing he's on for the full 80. But we've seen in the 2 games where Costelow was on the bench, when he came on, we started clearing from 10, which was massively successful. So I can see more of that, going forward this season.
Now, from here on, the stats get a bit weird. So line-out success, according to Opta Analyst, we've got the second worst line-out success in all of Europe at 80%. But according to the URC website, we've got the best line-out success in the URC at 93%. So something's not adding up there. And you would think that line-out success, did they catch the ball, is a pretty easy one to get right. But I will say that, Mark, we have observed between us that line-out stats have definitely been wrong in some of the games that
people
covered.
Just put random numbers in and hope they're right. It's like we spoke about that. I know we spoke about the Australia game earlier with Elias lineouts, but there was 10 lineouts for Wales in that game, and who was the rugby pass or wherever, said there were 12. Well, you're counting lineouts. It's not hard, and there's multiple incidents where you see now, like we saw an incident with how many scrums we had against the Bulls. And, there's so many different examples of where they mess up basic counting skills. So it's a travesty.
Yeah. Scrums won via penalty were also quite low on. But I think that's that's a kind of risk or reward thing. You'll see that teams that win a lot of scrum penalties also lose a lot of scrums because they take the risk of trying to win from the penalty, and we don't really do that.
I think either Stormers or Zebra have got the most scrum penalty wins, and they're not particularly either of them performing well this season.
Yeah.
So I'll be honest, a scrum penalty doesn't mean much. You'd rather, how many of your own feeds you've retained. That's probably the number you want to look at.
Yeah. So now 22 entries. We're one of the lowest for getting 22 entries in club rugby, and again, that is one of those, like, our tries are maximum efforts. We're happy to score from halfway or outside the 22. We don't rumble over from close very much. Now, another ones that we're not particularly good at is 22. Well, this is again according to the Opta Analyst site. 22's entries against and percentage of 22 entries leading to tries against. Apparently, we concede loads of 22 entries, and nearly half of them lead to us conceding a try. But we've won 3 games and drawn 1 out of our 6 so far, and we haven't been conceding loads of tries. So I don't know where that stat comes from, to be honest. It doesn't tally with the number of tries that we've actually conceded.
Yeah,
and 22 entries is a bit of a funny stat as well, because some people would say that you have to have a ruck in the 22 for it to be a 22 entry. Some say that you just have to run through the 22 area. So basically, if you score a try, you've had a 22 entry, even if you intercept on your own try line. It's a 22 entry because you go into it. Another one might be if you're on attack and you have a ruck in the 22, and then you on the next carry, you get pushed backwards, and then on the next ruck, you go back in. Is that 22 entries, even though it's in the same phase of attack? Different stats companies will measure it differently and have different definitions. That is one of the general problems with rugby stats, is there is a lot of subjectivity and a lot of having to make a call, a coder's opinion. So how they do these stats is someone watches the game and codes it, and at some points that coder will have an opinion and make a judgment call. And so that's where these stats, but those 22 entry stats are the peculiar ones for me, and the line out stats that don't really add up to what we've watched.
Yeah, our set piece has been brilliant this season, and we've only lost a handful of line outs, so that's not right at all.
Yeah.
So if we get back to Glasgow, I'm rather optimistic about this game, that we can come away with something. Obviously, I'm going to predict a win because that's just me. It's who I am. So how are you feeling in general?
If we get a win, it'll be our best result under Peel, because it's
better than Clermont.
Yeah. Glasgow are the league champions, and it's okay, they're not going to have their best team out, but they didn't lose a home game last season. So it would be a massive upset if the Scarlets won this. It would be a massive upset. But I think we need to approach it with the same mindset that we had against the Bulls, where we said, Josh McLeod said that we drew a line in the sand and we say, no, we can compete with these, and they go with that mindset. It's all about the mindset of going up there. And I do back that the players, under the leadership of Josh and things like that, will have the mindset of, no, we stand up to these and we give them a game. So I expect us to give them a game. Like I said, it's as hard a fixture as there is in the league. It's the hardest fixture in the league. So manage expectations. It'll be about the performance. Obviously, I don't want to see us ship 40 plus. That would be really disappointing. But I think I think you can make a statement in this game without necessarily winning it.
Yeah, I think we might have a bit of a danger though of approaching this game the same way we did Leinster last season, where we basically sent a B team out there, and I would totally understand the reasoning to do that, but I would be against it.
Same.
We need to, our boys haven't played majority of our boys haven't played for 3 weeks. We need to get them back match fit, which is a massive issue for any sport when you take long breaks off. Now, 2 weeks is too long. A 1 week break, fine. 2 weeks if you're absolutely shattered, but three, you've lost any sort of form and match fitness. I know we had a bit of a training day, week, whatever it was with Cardiff that was over socials, but you can't replicate a real in-game feel. So in terms of our Wales boys coming back, I'm expecting Mathias, Henry, Thomas, obviously, and I'll be honest, I think that's more or less it. And obviously Alex from Scotland. So
Yeah, we don't know what the situation will be with Eddie James.
or Sam Costelow, Tom Rogers.
I expect that Sam and Tom will both be out, is my expectation. Blair Murray, I wouldn't expect him to be involved.
Played all three, yeah.
So what's our back three looking like then? So it would be Johan Nicholas,
Ellis, me, and Jack Davis. So
that's a tall order. That's a tall order for those boys.
Yeah, I mean,
because they'll be up against the likes of Kyle Steyn.
Yeah.
Canciller, the Argentinian they've got.
I don't really think this improves much, but if Eddie James is fit, that would shift Max Page to one of those wing spots.
Yeah.
But again, we're going into this game without any wingers. So
yeah,
it's really difficult to, and we talk about that. We talk about partnerships and how Williams is working well with everyone. But Max Page is still a young boy at 13. He's still got a lot of learning to do, and there are some very experienced operators in Glasgow that will exploit the space around him, especially with someone who he's not used to playing with. He's not used to playing with Ellis May, and he has played a fair bit with Jack Davis, but not as Jack Davis as the winger. So it's a new dynamic again. So that's obviously something to look at. I'm thinking of what other academy boys doing. Something like Kean Abraham. He's out for a while.
Dave McDonald. We've seen a bit of him.
Yeah, he's. I don't know if he's a 12 or 13, to be honest. He's playing most of his rugby at 12, but when I've seen his stature, he looks more like a 13. So I can't really see anything there, unfortunately.
But the thing is, it's not like a players rested thing. I mean, maybe Blair Murray and whoever might be brought in because there's literally no one else.
Yeah.
Because we're that's literally where we've gotten to. There isn't anybody. We'll probably see Charlie Titcombe on the bench.
You know what? Maybe we see Johan Lloyd at fullback, Johan Nicholas on the wing, and Charlie Titcombe starting at 10. That's plausible.
That's an option.
Johan Nicholas has played plenty of rugby on the wing. He does have pace, so that is a way to go. But then we're looking at no 10 cover on the bench. But we do play games like that. We have done, plenty of times with Sammy and Johan. So that's it. Obviously, Cowdo's are starting 9. Yet to hear anything back on Archie Hughes. We were hoping to have him for this block.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big one.
Anything on there for Fita, maybe?
Again, we were told he'd be back. He was only going to be missing for 2 games, and then it was the block. So I'm hoping he's available. I'm trying to think back to that video of the shade training session to whether or not he was involved, but I can't pinpoint anything at the minute from memory. So
that brings Marnus van der Merwe at hooker.
Yeah, so we saw Sean Evans return for Carmarthen Quinn, so he's the bench spot. I don't expect to see Elias.
Should be Hepburn, and
I bring Kemsley because he's only
Kemsley. Tight heads. Henry Thomas should be obviously.
Yeah. So a front row is
Archer Holtz is now with the squad as well.
Yes. So he was at the Meet the Players evening with 316. So it's going to be a question now of how he's trained over the last few weeks. Is he up to speed? And what level is he at? Because realistically, obviously, like we've already said, Hawk is out for the season. Harry O'Connor's gone. So technically, it's that third spot that both Archer Holtz and Sam Wainwright are really competing for.
Hmm.
So it's going to depend on where they are. Like, I saw training photos of both of them together, and Archer does look more of a tight end. Like, I know I just in the WhatsApp group, I was fanboying a bit. I was just describing his certain attributes that which I was really happy with, which will do well for any tight end prop. There's also the option of Gabe Hawley if anyone was injured, but again, this is his first year senior men's rugby. He's played he's played Bucks all university rugby.
Yeah.
So
second row should be okay.
It's everyone barring Craig, isn't there? So it's going to be Lousy and Douglas, and then Jack Price on the bench with obviously
yeah,
options of Morgan Jones and Ed Sprague, if needed. Then we're into the back row. So Plumtree and Fafita.
Yeah, Plumtree and Fafita, if we assume not out there, but that still will leave McLeod, Dan Davis, and Jared Taylor will all be available. We'll probably see Carwin on the bench.
I know if Carwin is fit because he got injured in game, played Carmarthen Quins.
Oh, right,
so that is another question. So then we'd be talking Ben Williams. And I'm thinking that was really Ben has dropped down to Quins already this season, but I'm thinking that's why Ben, Charlie, and Sean were all involved last Friday, was because they wanted them to get some game minutes before this week. So I could be way off, again, fan podcast, opinion based, but I think we might be seeing Ben Williams. I haven't seen anything on Carwin, but realistically, we've already spoken multiple times about Carwin. We want to see him in that 8 shirt. We want to see him do what he does, and it's unfortunate we're not seeing it, even when he is selected on the bench, which is annoying. But yeah, so how are we gonna maneuver this bench? Who goes to 8? Would you have McLeod at 8 or do you have Taylor at 8?
Taylor at 8 for me. More of a carrier.
Yeah. I could see him doing a job off the base of a scrum. So yeah, I think we've got a solid 15, a bit shaky in the outside backs.
Yeah,
but
it's the backs that's a bit of a worry. I think we'll manage with the forwards, but with the backs we might be a bit shaky.
But again, some players can surprise you. Like Elias surprised you in that Leicester pre-season friendly, and he's been outstanding whenever he's been on the pitch for Llandovery. Same as Jack Davis. Jack Davis is probably really annoyed at that injury he picked up last season. He probably should have a few more URC caps to his name.
Yeah.
So these boys, they are ready. So it's finding times to flip them, and this is where we really miss, the Mickey Mouse competitions, as they were called, the Anglo Welsh Cup, or we've tried development games, but we went for a full academy squad in our development game, which happened, I want to say 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So there's a good few boys that are ready to step up. So like I've already said, Ellis, me, Jack Davis, and obviously we've already seen last season can do more than do a job. Morgan Jones again, who was involved, and is someone I am very, very excited to see when he finally gets into the squad. Realistically, he is our third choice. He should be getting minutes here and there, and every time he's been on the pitch, his carrying is a point of difference. So I'm excited, and there is potential for him to play here with both Hepburn and Mathias being involved in international camps.
We shall see. So that's the team sheet that we're looking forward to. It'll be out on Thursday, so you keep an eye on our socials and we'll share it. Last point before we go, nearly forgot. If you fancy being involved in RAP, especially if you're a Scarlet season ticket holder, get in touch. We are looking for someone. The question that we get asked the most is, are you going to the game? And for whatever reason, it's always difficult to get to games. Lefley is not always the easiest place to get to for people who don't live there. And, especially when we have a run of Friday night games or something, it's difficult to travel to. So if you are a regular match day goer for the Scarlets and you fancy getting into content creation, let us know. and we will get you set up because we are looking for people to go to the games and film a bit, maybe do a bit of vox pops here and there. So give us a shout, get in touch. You can be part of the Rat family. Just you need to go to games.
Yeah, and if you want, a little insight of what's the sort of thing we like, we've done a couple episodes of Mart at the Park. So, really, really basic. If you're at the game, you're not going to be taking out much time for yourself. So it's a great way to get involved and speak to other fans as well. If that's something you're interested in socializing even more with other Scarlets and creating relationships. This goes for everyone in every region. If you've got an Osprey season ticket and you want to be involved with them, same as Cardiff, same as the Dragons, get in touch. We are looking for match day vloggers.
Yeah. All right.
I think that brings us to the end, my friend.
I think it does.
There we go. Well, thank you everybody for listening. And if you've managed to make it this far, please like, share, subscribe, comment. We love a comment. I've certainly enjoyed my comments I've been getting from my mini appearances over the last few weeks. So that's been quite fun. We love engaging with our listeners, with everyone. This is what we want. We want to expand Welsh rugby as much as we can. So thank you all for listening. That's Big M and Mr. Huw Griffin signing out for this week, and we'll catch you again next week. Bye.
Bye. Oh, it's me, isn't it?